Welcome to Lesson 3. You've now learned 4 basic fundamental concepts: affordances, signifiers, conceptual models, and system image. In this lesson, we're going to learn 2 more principles based on the gulf of execution. How do I know what I can do? And the gulf of evaluation. How do I know what happened? This leads to 2 concepts: discoverability and feedback. Let me show you something with my car. You know how sometimes you walk up to the trunk and your hands are full? Well, here's how you do it.
That's really cool.
Wanna
Can I try? So were you kicking something?
How do you think it works?
Is there a particular place?
So what do you think is going on?
Oh, there it goes.
So what did you do?
I'm not sure what I did.
You think you could do it again?
Well, I don't know. Let's see.
So
I don't know what I did.
So what's your conceptual model of what's going on?
Maybe there's a sensor there, and I have to...
Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Some unknown
somewhere
place.
under there. It looks like maybe it was to the right of...
This is a really good example, if you like. It's a good example of a bad example of crossing the gulf of execution and the gulf of evaluation. The gulf of execution, well, I'm supposed to kick or something, but where and how? How fast? Or do I kick or just wave my foot? And the gulf of execution, well, I did it and nothing happened. Now what am I supposed to do? Really good example of bad design.
2 sources of difficulty when using your product are due to the lack of discoverability and feedback. Knowing what to do, then wondering what happened. These 2 difficulties result from the huge gulf between a person's goal and the means of achieving them. This is called the gulf of execution. There's also the gulf between assessing the state of the world and trying to determine if that state matches the initial goal. And this is called the gulf of evaluation. Figuring out what actions are possible during the gulf of execution is all about discoverability. And knowing what just happened during the gulf of evaluation is about feedback. Ever buy a new product and then not know how to work it? Well, likely because it lacks discoverability. Ever stand at an elevator or a pedestrian traffic light, pushing the button but not knowing if the system noticed, so you push over and over again? That's because of lack of feedback. The role of the designer is to help people bridge the 2 gulfs, making the possible actions discoverable and providing feedback along the way. For the first 6 months as a Udacity employee, I thought one of our coffee machines was broken because it didn't work immediately upon me pushing a specific button. What I eventually learned from a colleague was that the coffee machine needed time to warm up prior to processing my request. This important step wasn't part of my conceptual model, hence the misunderstanding. The coffee machine failed me by not providing appropriate feedback. It should have let me know that it had received my request and was taking time to warm up. We'll cover the important topic of feedback more soon. Crossing the gulf of execution and the gulf of evaluation involves users asking themselves a series of questions. For each of the 7 questions, indicate whether the question occurs at the user's goal, the action done to the world, the gulf of execution, or the gulf of evaluation. What do I want to accomplish? Or what is my goal? What action can I do now? How do I do it? And after I've taken action, what just happened? What does what just happened mean? Am I okay with what just happened? Have I accomplished my goal? It's important to note that typical behavior is not about going through all stages in a linear fashion. We tend to weave back and forth when trying to accomplish a goal. And not all of the activity in the 7 stages of action is conscious. Goals tend to be conscious, but even they may be subconscious. The 7 stages of action that are made up of the gulfs of execution and evaluation provide a helpful checklist for designers to use when creating something. And next, Don introduces important design rules that are linked to the 7 stages of action. What do I want to accomplish is the question users ask when establishing a goal. What are my alternatives? What can I do now? And how do I do it? Occur at the gulf of execution, when users are trying to figure out how to execute. Have I accomplished my goal? What does it mean? And what happened? Are questions users ask during the gulf of evaluation in order to determine what happened in response to an action taken. No question is asked of the world. The world is simply where the action occurred.
Good designers empathize with the people they're designing for. That's what the 7 questions that you just covered, Chelsea, are all about. Your job is to make sure that the people using the product can always find the answers. Now, those 7 questions complete the formal course material. One thing left, to put it all together. That's what the final project is about. It's a fun one. You get to put together all the things you've learned, plus the design skills from the other projects, into a real project, something you could actually build into a real manufactured product. Have fun.